Hello and welcome to This Is. Austin has made the dumbest decision of his life.
It's not even top 20, my dude.
Well,
The Apple Vision Pro is among us. There is a lot to talk about. We're recording this, of course, before Vision Pro has gone on sale officially, so it's going to go on sale on the 2nd of February. But there's a whole lot more information we have. There's a lot more controversy because, of course, there is.
if you watched our tech predictions video, I think it's one of the coolest things that's been out in a long time.
Yeah.
And 0 people.
0?
Those are the amount of people who should be buying this. I think it has cool applications for like businesses, but like for an individual, no. I think it's really dumb. You can't even watch the Megavid on a full battery charge.
Luckily, there's at least a YouTube app for that, right?
Oh, no.
Oh.
The big controversy is that there's not gonna be any apps. You know, you wanna go and watch your... I don't have Netflix. I don't even know what's on Netflix anymore. The last time I watched Netflix was Orange is the New Black. So
2013?
yeah, I haven't had Netflix in a long time.
You're missing out, my dude. What are you over here on like Paramount Plus or something?
Yeah, I'm watching a lot of Star Trek.
You're a Peacock?
Yeah.
By default, every iPad app will run on the Vision Pro unless the developer opts out. I think most apps will run fine because you can just run an iPad app sort of in like windowed mode. You can kind of like float around and stuff.
Well,
like it will be fine.
So the big ones that have been announced is Netflix said, nope, we're not bringing our stuff to the Vision Pro. Also, Spotify is like, you know what? We're also not going to do that. You just paid $3,500 for a device, and the whole selling point of it is spatial audio, spatial video,
Yep.
and here's like the 2 biggest platforms for media consumption. The only one who's actually said, yeah, we're in on this is Disney.
TikTok also is making a dedicated app, which makes sense because TikTok runs on quite literally a TI-86. So I guess my thought here is that just to give a little bit of sort of, devil's advocate to this, if you're YouTube, if you're Spotify, if you're Netflix, are you going to enable your iPad app, which may or may not be a good experience, or are you just gonna hang tight and wait for people to actually buy the Vision Pro? If it works in the browser, honestly, it's probably good enough experience that like doesn't matter that much because the estimated sales are somewhere between like 70 or 80 to 180,000 compared to the 100 gajillion iPhones they sell.
The billion iPhones,
Yeah.
it's nothing. You need people to be like, yo, this is amazing.
The question about the apps, I think, is a real one because there are a number of apps that are being custom designed for Apple Vision Pro. But I think until we spend more time with it, I want to actually just say for the record that my assumption here is that having Safari windows that you can fly everywhere else is going to be largely the same experience as having an iPad app that you can fly all over the room. I just don't think it's going to be...
I agree with you on that, but I get
fine.
This is what I'm saying though. To spend $3,500 to have that experience is stupid.
Sure, and look,
No one should buy this until it is a game-changing experience. Apple doesn't care about other apps. They only care about their ecosystem. All you're getting now is a fancy floating display, which you can get for way cheaper with like in-real glasses. There's way, 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 way cheaper options in this. The whole selling point to a $3,500 Vision Pro is that it has the spatial video, all this like, the AR sauce built in, which if you're just on the browser is not gonna have any of that. It's the same user experience on the iPad versus on the Vision, which is fine for like if it's like a one-off, but the fact that the majority of the apps that people are using don't support this. It's been reported by pretty much anyone who's used it. This thing weighs a fucking ton and is not comfortable to wear around your head all day.
The thing is, there are certainly compromises with this first-gen Vision Pro, and I think you've probably heard them many, many times. The fact that it is very heavy and it has an external battery pack, so it is heavier than the Quest, and you've got to have some big chungus battery bank in your pocket.
And
like
that
that's
battery
not great.
only lasts for less than a movie. A lot of companies are going to look and be like, okay, well, we'll wait until people actually buy this. You always have the dumb Apple people who are like, I'm going to buy anything they put out here in the first wave, and I have not seen a single person who bought this that wasn't a content creator. If everyone's experience is like, oh yeah, this was like fine, whatever, because none of these apps that I use work for it, is that going to get people to want to buy it then? Right now, the only cool thing people are going to be able to say about it, with the secret sauce of the spatial everything, is Disney showing like ESPN with like a basketball game and like, oh, we could watch it like courtside or whatever. If people start buying it, obviously developers will develop for it. Of course they will. How long before Disney sees people aren't buying it and stops throwing money at it?
It won't be. So first of all, Apple have committed this to be spatial computing is like their next wave. If nothing else, because they want to pump their stock price up because it's sort of like their next sort of wave. And they also have a metric buttload of cash to burn on this thing. They could sell almost none of these things, and they're gonna spend 5 years minimum more developing this. How many billions of dollars has Apple spent to get to this point, right? Apple are going to force this thing through, even if this first thing literally sucks. They're going to make this thing at least moderately successful through sheer force of will and piles.
Which is how they do things.
Apple is filled with very talented people. Apple have a lot of money, engineering resources, and sort of willpower to make their next major product, right? So that alone is enough to say that it's a fairly safe bet that while Vision Pro Gen 1 has some problems.
That's the whole thing. Is this whole device is half baked right now. I'll give them credit for actually coming out with an M2 on there. Why is it a Vision Pro if this is like their baseline, whatever?
I think the debate inside Apple was that they have clearly spent years and years and years and years to develop this as a product. They clearly know where they want to go. I'm sure they have a 10-year roadmap of what this thing could look like, where it's going to be built in glasses and blah, 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 right? But like, that's going to take a little bit. I think what happened was Apple are looking and go, look, we've got this thing that's like 75% there. Remember when the Apple Watch first came out? Remember how they tried to pitch that as like there's gonna be all these apps and stuff? And that all like fell by the wayside because people realized, oh, I actually want this for fitness and all these other things, right?
Does anyone use the apps on Watch?
No, I actually believe that this is not a bad decision, right? Because they want this vision of spatial computing to be a reality. And to make that a thing, they do need to put it out in the wild. Like, I truly believe that they need to ship this thing. Let people actually try it, find the use cases for it, and then that can kind of dictate where it goes from there. The iPhone didn't have a bunch of amazing apps on day one. The Mac was a very different platform when they first released it versus what people were able to develop for it.
The same way they went and got Kojima and said like, all right, let's do like Death Stranding or whatever.
They don't want this to be a gaming device, largely because I don't think anyone can justify spending that much money. Like, they have to sell it as like, hey, this is a replacement for your Mac. This is a replacement for your monitor.
Right now, it's not a replacement for anything. It's same argument we have with an iPad. Now, an iPad is a much easier pill to swallow because it's a couple $100.
Wow.
I mean, it could be expensive.
I would say a little more than that.
You could get a base iPad for $250 or whatever, and that's like, okay, that's a good companion piece to your Mac. Go buy a Mac Studio for $2,000, and instead of buying the Apple display. So instead of spending $1,600 on this amazing display, spend $3,500 and use this headset that is uncomfortable to wear as your display.
That's true.
A lot of my arguments would be moot if this was something that was comfortable to wear on your head.
Sure.
And like, not everyone has gone through F1 training like you have. Everyone says like, I don't want to wear this for a while. If you're gonna argue that this is a productivity workful thing,
it's gotta be comfortable.
It's gotta be comfortable.
I agree.
None of the individual arguments are enough to say like, I agree that like at some point you gotta pull the trigger and push it out. There's a compromise at every aspect of this. And that's my problem with it.
But like at a fundamental level, what gets me excited about this? So I've spent time with the Quest 3, and I like the Quest 3 quite a lot. It is a major step up from the Quest 2.
Yeah, and it's comfortable to wear. Motion sickness aside for some people, I never did the Quest 3, but even just the Quest 2. I have an app that just simulates an 80s basement. If I play like a retro game, I play it in the retro basement. I can wear that Quest for hours at a time, and it is fine.
And actually has enough battery to at least last like close to 3 hours usually. I will say, not to spoil things too much, but I am actually going to be making a video testing the limits of that longevity. So make sure to subscribe to the main channel and ring that ding-a-ling button. But it's just one of those things where we can speculate all we want. There's a lot of ways this could go.
But that's what purchasing is speculating whether you'll like it or not.
I'm gonna invest in this $3,500 product, hoping that it is useful for me, hoping that it continues to improve, and hoping that I actually find that there's some real use there. I agree with you, actually. I think that 90% of people who are thinking about a Vision Pro should not get it. I think that there will be use cases that we are maybe not even thinking about right now, which would be very useful. If this Vision Pro is as clear and crisp as far as the image quality and the pass-through and the actual like spatial video, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff, I think that it will probably be a very decent experience out the gate. But the real test for me with Vision Pro is gonna be what happens 12 months from now when we've seen sort of what this thing begins to form into. And certainly it'll be very interesting to see when they ship generation 2 of Vision hardware, whether it's another version of the Pro, whether it's a plastic version that loses the sort of the screen on the front.
Which is dumb. The screen is dumb. It looks terrifying.
Well, you're just afraid of human contact.
Yes.
Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and ring-a-ling the ding-a-ling button. Otherwise, Matt will put a Vision Pro on and stare at you through those cold, dark, dead eyes, recreated through the magic of Siri 2. wistfully ask for you to take a nap with him and watch over carefully as Timmy Cook silently drains your debit card.